This conference will now be recorded.
Call the meeting to order. This is the Tuesday, November 19th, 2014, meeting of the Davenport Public Library Board of Trustees. I want to welcome everyone who's here. I know we have a whole pretty good crew here today. I know Honey is here, Shelley Claus is here, our new director. Michael's here, Amanda's here, Malvika's here, Jerry's here, Honey's here, I'm here. Marion, thank you for coming. Steve Emming is here. Jeff Collins, our library director, is here. Lexi, Jennifer, Casey, Tracy, and Mary Tenner is here too. And I think I missed somebody.
Meredith.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So anyway, we're ready to get going. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so moved, Tom.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second. Sorry.
Okay. I'll call the roll. Honey?
Yes.
Bob's sitting here. Shelley?
Yes.
Joe is not here, I'm sorry. Michael?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Malvika?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And myself, that's a yes, okay. Okay, so that is the consent agenda. Moving right on, public with comment. Not seeing anyone. Move into the reports and communications. Friends? Jeff?
So, Tom, if I can, Hillary Tanner, the Friends president, said that she was not able to make it today, and
Okay.
she apologizes for that, but she did want to pass on a couple of things.
Okay.
She wanted to update the trustees on the continued planning for a fundraising event in September of 2025. It will be a Saturday evening event at Maine. And she also wanted to note that Tracy's sending out year-end giving requests to our donors. And the request this year is going to be for the Library of the Things. And we hope to have community support in expanding that resource.
Thank you.
Quick question. Library of Things.
Library of Things.
Okay.
I'll turn that over to Lexi to answer.
Like, oh, I should have prepared for this. So right now we've got a couple different collections of non-traditional library materials, like our board games and puzzles, our techno library that has some different devices and other unique items patrons can check out. So with this, what we would be doing is bringing those together, rebranding it as the Library of Things, and then expanding that collection to include more items that patrons might want to borrow because they want to, say, try them out before buying them, or that they might want to use one time and not ever need it again. So looking at unique cake pans and cookie cutters, looking at outdoor games like pickleball and other trends that we want to try out because they've become popular. So that is what this ask is for, to give us some money to shore up that collection and promote it to the public.
Thank you.
I was just at the Rock Island Library last week. We had a whole rack of cake pans.
Yes.
In plastic bags, and my wife was thoroughly intrigued.
They're very popular because you buy those specialized ones for like
Yeah.
one occasion and you never need it again. So this way you don't have to have that expense, and people
I
who
will
can't
tell her
afford.
that. She will have to
Yeah.
go across the room.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Moving into committee reports, finance. No, Joe's not here. Guess we don't have a report. Personnel?
Yep, we had the annual evaluation coming up today for the library director. We'll be doing that in a closed session during this meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you. Advocacy, Malvika?
Tom, I do not have, I just wanted to share. One is welcome, Sherry.
Thank you.
And we
part of our group of advocacy. So welcome. And I just wanted to quickly make a mention. Jeff, thanks a lot for passing along that email to all of us about sharing our book recommendations. It's so nice that we are able to share some things. I really thoroughly enjoyed doing that. So thanks a lot for that. And a quick mention, if I may, I had come last or a few weeks ago, and I came by the new back temporary entrance. I just want to appreciate the person who was sitting behind at the desk, looking after the entrance, his patience into, talking to every single individual who was coming in and asking weird questions like, can I get my bicycle in and park inside the library? And, he politely said no to it. And, and then several people coming in and, talking about the confusion coming through the back door, and one lovely grandmother saying, I do not have a library card. And she was being patiently welcomed by all the people who work here. So that's so very wonderful. I really want to thank everyone for that. So that's it.
Could I add something?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I just finished this book. Has anyone else read this? This is a wonderful book, and it should be required reading for us. It's, I'm sorry, I can't see. It's called The Library Book by Susan Orlean, and it's about the fire at the Los Angeles Library in 1996, 86. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but it's about so much more than that, about libraries. It's really a really good book for library people. So before I turned it in, I wanted to recommend it to you all.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Malvika.
Thank
Director's report, Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. So included in your packet, there is a report, a couple of things to draw attention to. Number one is the significant progress we've made on the main library renovation phase 2 project. The landscaping has been completed, and they're making good progress in the special collections workroom as well as the loading ramp. The concrete work on the porch has been the most noticeable disruption to service, obviously. We're hopeful that that's going to be resolved very soon. The actual concrete work as of today is completed. We just want to work on making sure that it's safe in terms of temporary railings for patrons to come and visit the library and heading out until the metal railings get delivered, which are on order. So we're excited about that. Again, apologies to the public for the disruption, but a huge shout out to staff for, as Malavika pointed out, doing a lot to make sure that we're still being accepting to everybody coming in, and we've had a good presence there at that door to be able to help welcome patrons as they come in. The Burton Group was here for the Enhanced Youth Spaces project during the first week of November, and they did fantastic work. We have now another Dragonfly at Paramount. They did some routine maintenance there. At Eastern, this is what I might be most excited about, is they did install some really great, we extended the wall of the interactive features, which looks really nice, but we also were able to get a couple of reading nooks. So these are seed pods that are in place now, and these are the first and only ones in the country. So we're excited to have those here at our library. And then they completed the first phase at Maine, which included a barge and a tugboat themed interactives along 2 of the walls. We have a pedal bench there and a freestanding boat nook as well, all with a lot of great learning interactives throughout. And a couple of photos were included in your packet. You can see kind of what those look like. And this is just the first phase for Maine. Next year, about this time, we're hoping to finish up with that project, which is going to be really great. Due to budget constraints, for many years we've fallen behind on a kind of a standard 5-year upgrade cycle for computer equipment, but we are very excited now to finally get a handle of that because of the increase to the electronic resources program that's through the CIP. So IT has now successfully replaced all the remaining 8th generation devices we had, as well as some other upgrades as well. So we're back on track, or getting close to being back on track in terms of replacing a lot of our technology before it becomes obsolete.
Ideally, how often does that turn over?
It depends on what industry you're in. Tech is every year to 3 years. Government's typically about 4 to 5 years. We were at 8 to 10 in some cases. So we're really excited about that. We did meet with city finance to discuss the FY 2026 library operating budget as part of just the annual operating budgeting process. I shared some information with the finance committee about that, and since we weren't able to talk about that earlier. There are no significant changes to report. The city does anticipate property growth rate, although there are several variables that remain uncertain, including House File 718, backfill funding, and the local option sales tax. Our proposed budget does maintain prior commitments from the city to preserve the levy amount for the library as part of the general fund, and that it does include funding for the ARPA supported position for FY 2026. So we're really excited about that. One other comment is that city finance staff did express that they would like to postpone the discussion with board finance committee that we had initially indicated we were going to do in November after the audit was done. They would like to postpone that another month or two until a new city CFO is hired. So I shared that with finance committee as well. So very positive things.
Right, and you know, the budget process is moved until February, so that is later because of the change at the state level, so that may be helpful, but I think it's something to
Yep.
obviously be dealing with, which I know you
Yep.
do, so
Yep.
anything I can do to help them, yeah.
There've been a couple of facility improvements. We acquired a new crosswalk sign for Fairmount and then also added one to Eastern for the first time. We didn't have one there in the past. We did, City Forestry did have to remove a dying tree, unfortunately, from the parking lot here at Main. And then also another tree over at Fairmount. We were sad to see those trees go, obviously, but we're glad that they're gone for the safety. We patched and painted the walls of the study rooms here at Main due to damage caused by swiveling chairs. So we replaced those chairs with non-swiveling chairs. These were chairs that were borrowed from Eastern for the computer chairs after we had the furnishing upgrade there. So we're just kind of reusing the existing ones, a little bit of refurbishing, and hopefully those will work out a little bit better so we don't have the damage that we were having before. And then we also did annual preventative maintenance on our AMHs. Those are the sorters, the sorting systems that we have. So that's nice. And we did include last year and leading into this year a request as part of the CIP process to begin replacing those beginning in FY 2023. Hopefully 1 year, one replacement each year. We'll see kind of how that plays out. A couple of other things in terms of materials and services and programs. All 3 locations served as voting sites. So we were really excited to participate in that process again and to offer that service for the community. It was very busy and it didn't go without issues, but we were really glad that we were able to do that for the community. October 26th was the Personal Owl Visit Day. That was a really fun event. That was the prize for Children's Summer Reading Challenge log. And the winner, her name was Vivian, and age 6. She was really excited for the big day. So we had a great turnout for that. And you can see a couple of photos that were in your packet. We also have the second story walk installed now at Van Buren Park. That goes in addition to the one we have at Lafayette. And there's one more that will be coming the following spring at some point. Right now, I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to head up to the second floor at Main Library. We have a small exhibition featuring 11 paintings by local artist T.F. Hempel that are on display. These are items that were commissioned of and by the city of Davenport. They were on display for a number of years at various city facilities, I believe primarily for through Parks and Rec. And they were accessioned into our special collections department a number of years ago. We had an opportunity to put 11 of those out on display, and they're really stunning if you do have an opportunity to take a look at that. And our marketing coordinator, Tessa, did a great job of preparing that exhibition. This upcoming month, we are participating with Downtown Davenport Partnership's Deck the Downtowns program again. So that is the pickle. There is a prize to get a pickle ornament, and we are partnering also with the German American Heritage Center as one of the 2 sites to redeem that prize.
Pickle is a very German
Yes.
Christmas ornament.
Are we also working with the downtown Davenport group with the cookie run?
I'm not sure about the cookie run.
You don't eat food in the library.
I'm sorry?
I don't think you eat food in the library.
Maybe why. But I would like to, if there's cookies involved. Sounds like we might need to replace our pickles. In terms of community relations, I did reach out to our new city administrator. We're excited to have Mr. Max Snyder on board with us, and we shared some information about the library with him as well. And we did have an event, or not really an event, an incident that occurred a couple of Saturdays ago involving a medical emergency, and one of our employees stepped up and essentially saved someone's life.
Wow.
And Lexi, would you mind sharing some more information on
Sure.
that?
So this was over at our Eastern branch, not this last Saturday, but the one before, and a patron was going to a meeting in one of the meeting rooms and collapsed on the meeting room or on the floor in the cafe space there. Somebody saw this and went and alerted Bill, one of our information services librarians, and he rushed to action very quickly. He alerted other staff who got on the phone with 911, directed other people away from the scene, Bill grabbed the AED to apply that to see if that was needed. When the machine told him not to do a shock, but to do CPR, instead he did do CPR, and the patron woke up, because at that point she was out, and things were looking very grim. He did CPR. She woke up, the ambulance came and took her to the emergency room. A few days later, we found out from someone who else had been in the group that she had emergency surgery because they discovered it was due to like a blocked valve or something medical that I don't remember. She had surgery and recovered and just went home a few days ago and is doing well.
We often, from time to time, we recognize these kind of activities. That has anybody talked to administration about this recognition at city, at a council meeting?
We're exploring opportunity or possibilities for
Okay,
that.
it's happened several times in my time on council. It might be something, you can do it without acknowledging the person if they didn't want to be acknowledged or whatever. But we do it for fire and police. I think we should do it. And I think there was a Parks and Recs person, so why not the library?
And I'd be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns about the report or anything else.
Any questions? Okay, I guess we'll move on. Council liaison, Marion?
Yeah, just have a couple of things. Last week was the last reading and the last vote on the tenant rent abatement ordinance, which is now we are one of 3 cities in Iowa. I think you guys had Dubuque and Iowa cities being the other. This is to actually try to, rather than, it's to try to get compliance from landlords who are less than what they should be, which we don't have a lot of those. It probably will not be used a lot. Iowa City has used it about 12 times in 5 years that they've had it, but we now have this, and the point is to keep tenants in place if we can, to allow them to accumulate some dollars, because if it's a serious issue that goes undone, then the rent stops and the city can legally say you don't have to pay rent, and it doesn't start again until it's fixed. So in that time, the tenant is not paying for an apartment that might end up being vacated. So that's kind of the idea. And so, but the idea is really more compliance so that, all landlords understand, yes, you need to be timely in repairs. Just wanted to point out that there's kind of an unusual situation at the end of the year in terms of council meetings. We typically only do one cycle in December, but because of the way the days fall, it's very early. And because January 1st is on a Wednesday, we will not actually come back to council until January 8th. So the one cycle in December is December, the committee that holds December 4th, and the city council meeting is December 11th. There will not be another city council meeting until January 8th, which is an extremely long time. So
if you have anything that's pertinent, if you know anybody that's doing an event that needs a street closure in early January, they need to, or a noise variance, please, you need to get it on, they need to get it on the next cycle. And we are in the last cycle of November right now, and they could bring, whatever they bring, the request could come next week. But this is an unusual situation because of the timing of the calendar. So just wanted to point that out to everybody. That doesn't mean we're not around, and staff is not around and all of that. It's just the council meetings and how we move business through. So the only other thing that you'll see coming before council that's kind of related to downtown is a proposal for the vacant site that's west of Ruby's and the vacant triangular site. There is a proposal for a combination long-stay hotel, office, and an event center there. It's generated some questions from council because of its location, having to do with potential flooding, and also if there are any. It is not a Superfund site. That is incorrect, but it was close to one, which was the Quad City Times building. So if there are any environmental issues, so there's been comprehensive work done on that. It is coming to council this week and next week. So there's drawings, there's a lot of information on the city's website connected with this application. So, and that is in downtown. It would kind of be the last empty, right now it's generating $3,000 in revenue and taxes every year. So there's a potential for more. So anyway, that's coming up. If you have any questions, you can see me or whatever. So I'm always available. Thank you.
Thanks, Marion. Any questions for Marion?
Marion, can I have a quick question for you?
Sure.
And it is about this, the green space that is opposite the main library.
Right.
And are we talking?
That is not owned by the city of Denver.
Oh, it is. It
It's
is
owned by the person that had the building.
Had the building.
So
Right.
that will be a very, I am guessing, this is just a guess, that might, there are many people that have lawsuits pending against him.
Of course.
So there is, to have a discussion about it is kind of,
Something we can.
yeah, it's really not
Right.
probably proper for the city to be having
Of course.
discussions about it.
Of course.
But we do try to keep it, I think the Davenport Partnership keeps it mowed. We try to keep it mowed.
Right.
They've hardened the area around it because there were events happening, people were parking on it, which was, disturbing to some folks. So but we really have that's not our.
And the reason I thank you for the clarification. And the reason I just brought it up simply because I was thinking about, now we have a building next to the library,
Right.
And I was thinking of downtown Omaha, where you have such green patches. They're
Right.
by the public library.
I see.
With things in there where people would check out things, walk down and
Right.
sit, and So that was my curiosity.
Sure.
But I understand.
Yeah,
that
so-
we cannot go there.
And there really have been no discussions, and there really should have, from our, you certainly can, but from our point of view.
No, I understand.
I don't think we should be probably having.
Of course. Thank you.
No problem.
Anything else? Thank you, Marion. Moving on to old business. Approval of administrative policies. Now, this is something we've been working through for months, line by line, and we've made adjustments and tweaked them as we've gone along. I know Michael had made an observation about some possible word changes. I guess from your perspective, Michael, you had indicated there was no substantive changes.
No, nothing substantive. The points are all well made. In the past, when we received copies, it was marked in red, things they wanted to be changed. And as I was going through it again, I noticed that there are things that were changed. For example, commas with the deletion, that they're in black. So I was just wondering if this is going to be cleaned up, basically.
Yeah, well, it had been cleaned up, so that's an oversight on my part. If there are any additional
Okay.
strike-throughs,
Yeah.
then I need to be made aware of those so I can fix them.
I will get the All right, yeah, because I don't have any problem with the document.
Okay.
Just, okay, all right.
So, do we have a motion to approve the administrative policies? Again, this was something we've been working on for months through the various parts of them.
Just one quick question on that for, newer, I guess. How often is that administrative policy review?
Again, once every 3 years.
Once every 3 years?
Yeah. All library policy is reviewed at least once every 3 years. And that's in line with our state accreditation.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion and the second to approve the administrative policies. I'll call the roll. Amanda?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Joe? Not here. Shelley?
I know nothing, but yes.
I realize that, you know,
I know.
somebody would like this. Now, Vika?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And my own vote is yes, that passes. Okay, in the new business then, you have a discussion of the collection developments policy, special collections collection development policy.
So this is one of our 4 required board policies for us to have for state library accreditation. So it's coming up on its renewal cycle. So the copy that you see here is the draft. The biggest change is that this is the merging of 2 different policies. So we had a general collection development policy that covered the majority of our collection, and then special collections had their own separate. Just to streamline things a little bit easier and make it simpler for our patrons to find all of the collection development related information that they're looking for in one place, we combined those into one. Any content that wasn't brought over from the original special collections policy is being retained in procedure for special collections. Not all of it needed to be in this document. And again, that kind of streamlines it and shortens it up for our patrons. But special collections still has access to that information. So that's the majority of what changed here. Other changes include adapting the layout of it to fit into the new branded templates that Tessa created, rearranging a little bit of the content to improve the organization and flow. So where you see things in green, those are just sentences that were cut from one section and pasted in a different section. So none of that is new or changed content. And then just some light rewording or eliminating some content for clarity, and that's what you'll see in red. But no major substantive changes to the policy. And this is just a discussion for first consideration to be voted on for approval at our next meeting.
Yeah, Shelley, just to let you know, typically the way we do this is we will discuss it at one meeting, maybe make suggestions for tweaking, and then we'll approve it at the following meeting. That's been our routine. So is there any questions or comments on the suggested policy? Steve?
I'm looking for it. I think it's in here somewhere, but just kind of, I guess, since these are obviously to set the policy, but also to inform the public, it's kind of a reading level thing, but big words like de-accession. I mean, it's kind of like weeding. I mean, I never knew what that was originally either, but I just happened to notice in the information that Meredith provided that was in there. In there, she calls it withdrawn, but and it's just a reading level thing. I think it's would be helpful to.
That's definitely library jargon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Accessioning something is adding it to the collection.
Yep.
De-accessioning is removing it from the collection. Typically, in the public library industry, we'll refer to it as weeding or withdrawing or removing from the collection. Within special collections and archival repositories, those are the terms they typically use: accessioning and de-accessioning. So we could look at revising those or putting in some parentheses to be clear what they are.
And glossy.
So
a learning opportunity. Learning opportunity.
Yeah, I would suppose it's something because we're a depository library. In other words, records come here from like the city and places. So we have to be careful that we use the proper terminology for getting rid of stuff, adding stuff, that kind of, I guess, would just be my observation. Is there any other comments or observations?
I just have a question for my own clarification. Number 14, about objecting to library materials. A couple of questions, I guess. One is, it says a Davenport resident. Does that mean that someone who's not a Davenport resident has no standing to question?
Correct.
Just clarifying that. My other question is just, does this happen very often?
At our library in
Yes,
particular?
At your library, at our library, sorry.
Every couple of years typically.
This library.
Yeah, every couple of years typically.
Thank you.
I had two books brought to my attention by a woman at my church. Kind of like, this is trash, it shouldn't be in our library.
Give it to me, I'll take it back to the library.
I became familiar with it.
I just wondered what would happen if someone who wasn't a resident put up posted a concern about it.
Okay,
I just don't know.
any other discussion? I guess that moves on to next one. The next question is discussion of board enrichment.
Thanks, Tom. So for this topic, what we'd like to discuss briefly is just offering to trustees an opportunity through what we're referring to as the board enrichment program. It's modeled after our staff enrichment program, and it's intended to provide trustees with an opportunity to learn more about the library and to meet one-on-one with staff, not intended to be kind of a burden on staff or anything else like that. But just a process where if you are interested in learning more about the library and spending some time one-on-one with any particular department or at a location, you're welcome to do that. What we would do is we would encourage you just to send an email or get in contact with Lexi directly. And then she would work with that department supervisor to schedule a time for you to come in and do a half an hour observation at the front desk, or if you wanted to go on perhaps ride along with an outreach event, something like that. Just another avenue that we're exploring to give you an opportunity to learn more about the library, and also for library staff to meet more of our trustees as well. And again, not an imposition on your time or on library staff's time. We don't anticipate it being a big to-do at all, but we would like it as another avenue for you if you're interested in doing that. And this was an idea brought forth to us from one of our staff members and our customer services supervisor staff, Marvin.
And,
Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I love the ride along. Yes.
I know when I met with Jeff and we talked about this, I thought my first observation was we want to make sure that there's not creating any time imposition on the staff, because you guys they all have stuff to do. We don't want to make this something where it's going to be difficult. So if we can structure it that way, I think that'll work great. And I also suggested to Jeff that council members might be afforded that opportunity too, if they so choose. So that's a good idea coming forward from the staff. Thank you. Okay. The next item is a motion to delay opening of all three libraries on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025 for staff involvement in strategic planning. Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. So By email last week, I provided an update on the strategic planning process and another call to action to see if there are any other trustees that were willing and available to be able to serve on the planning workshop team. And thank you again to Honey and Malavika, and now also Michael, for stepping forward to be those three individuals that are going to be on the workshop participants. So that's going to be on March 4th in the afternoon and March 5th in the morning. The other makeup of that team is going to consist of library administration, so the 4 administrators, a representative from the leadership team, a supervisor. We'll have 2 library staff. We get a call for participation for nominations among staff, and we received a number of really great nominations. So the 2 individuals that are going to be participating on that is Claire Trimble, our information services librarian, and then Quinn O'Brien, our social worker. Also from the Friends Executive Board, Hillary Tanner, the president, is going to participate. And then Mary McGinnis offered to participate as well for those 2 workshops. What we're asking today is for the focus groups, which are going to be on February 22nd. Those focus groups are going to consist of 3 kind of categories. One is the library, another is the community, and the third one are kind of partners. And in an effort to try and provide an opportunity for as much staff participation as possible, what we would like to do is delay opening at all 3 libraries on Saturday, February 22nd from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. So we'll just open 2 hours later that day. And then that gives staff an opportunity to participate in the focus group that morning. And then if they are scheduled to work at one of the other buildings, they can travel back over the buildings, and then they can be ready to prepare and open for the public at that point.
So do we have a motion?
I so moved on.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll. Malavika?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And myself. That passes.
Thank you, Tom. One other thing I forgot to mention too, Amanda, thank you for offering to be one of the people that are interviewed.
No problem.
That'll be a 60, up to a 60-minute conversation. We'll let you know when I'll get their contact information with you sometime in the next three weeks or so.
Sounds vague, and I'm scared of what to be asked.
Ah.
I already said yes, so I'm in.
Thank you, everyone, for that. Next item is president's comments. I guess I would just like to add, when we have a situation like what happened, where we have a staff member stepping up and potentially saving or did save someone's life, that's the kind of thing that I would agree with Mary on. Again, if the staff member wants to be recognized, that's the kind of thing that this should go to the city council and should be made public. I mean, the very least we can do is publicly thank people for doing things like that, because that is not within the realm of their normal routine day-to-day operations, so.
And I'd be happy to do that if the employee doesn't wanna, I would be happy to just read something that you guys wrote about it. I'd be happy to do that. I think it's important too.
I get that is, was my comments, so. Next item is board training, technical services with Meredith.
So I'm going to talk about the technical services department here at the Davenport Library. So our department orders, catalogs, and processes materials that are purchased by the library and donated to the library that we add to the collection. We sort and check in the mail Monday through Friday. We answer the phones 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. We work on special projects. Currently, we're working on recataloging all the graphic novels so that the call numbers are by the characters or the series instead of by the authors. We do cleanup in the online catalog by running reports to catch things that may have been missed. A couple of examples, sometimes we withdraw items, but for some reason they don't get deleted. So we fix that. And then sometimes the bibliographic records that come into the catalog have incorrect material types in them. So we fix those things so they show up correctly in the catalog. We also help out other departments when we're needed. We help cover in special collections when they're short-staffed. And we also work outreach events when they need staff. We also laminate anything that other library departments send us. Most recently, we had a very short turnaround time to laminate the signs for the directions for patrons to come in the 4th Street door. So there are 7 members of the department, 1 full-time supervisor, 1 full-time acquisitions clerk, and 1 part-time acquisitions clerk. There's a part-time cataloging librarian, 2 part-time technical services clerks, and 1 part-time library clerk. So as the technical services supervisor, I supervise all of those staff as well as any non-special collections volunteers that we may have at Maine. Currently, we don't have any volunteers. I do original and copy cataloging of materials. So copy cataloging is looking for a bibliographic record in our catalog that matches the item that we have. If I find a matching record, then I add our item to that record. If there isn't a matching record in our catalog, then I go to OCLC, which is an international database of bibliographic records, and I bring that record. Look and see if there's a match. If there is, I bring that record into our Polaris system and I add our item to it. If there's no matching record in OCLC, then I create one, which is the original cataloging. So then when another library gets a copy of that item, they can download the record that I created in the international database into their catalog. I have been involved with the new Mobius setup, which is going very slowly, but I've been helping out with that. I'm on the RiverShare ILS admin committee, and I have administrative access to the Polaris system. So I answer RiverShare help desk tickets, like adding new staff members and assigning them permissions. I update close dates and some other things. I also submit help desk tickets to Innovative for things that we can't do locally. We have monthly calls with our Innovative site manager. The committee works together to schedule the upgrades, communications to RiverShare members, and reporting to the Assembly of the Whole. I am currently the vice chair-elect of the RiverShare Technical Services Committee. We meet quarterly. I'm also a member of the database subcommittee. This committee is composed of the Davenport, Bettendorf, and Scott County Library System cataloging staff. And we have extra permissions in the Polaris system that other RiverShare cataloging staff do not have. So we have an email list that the libraries can send mistakes or changes that need to be made, and then we make those changes or fix those errors in the catalog. We also set the policy for the technical services RiverShare catalog. We have buddy libraries that we help with cataloging issues. So our buddy libraries are LeClaire and Scott Community College. And then I am also Davenport's representative on the ILS search committee, which will begin meeting in January. So on to the acquisitions clerks. So there's 1 full-time clerk and then 1 part-time clerk that works 20 hours a week. They order all the materials that we get and encumber the funds in Polaris. We do electronic ordering with Baker & Taylor, Ingram, Midwest Tape, and Cengage. We also order from a few other vendors, Centerpoint, Amazon, and a few others for foreign language materials. The clerks set up and manage selector accounts on the vendor websites, which includes adding or removing authors from standing reports that the vendors send out. They enter invoices in Unis, the city's accounting system, for approval. They reconcile the acquisitions credit card. They do copy cataloging of fiction and genre books for all ages. They manage the newspaper and magazine subscriptions, which includes ordering and setting up the serial records in Polaris. They run routine reports in Polaris, and then the full-time acquisitions clerk is also a notary in the library. Next is the part-time cataloging librarian. She works 24 hours a week. She catalogs all materials that are added to the collection, both original cataloging and copy cataloging. She does RiverShare monthly batch loads. So what those are is, as a member of the subcommittee, we are responsible for uploading to OCLC and Silo, which is the state of Iowa catalog, files of records that we and our buddy libraries deleted our holdings on, so anything that we withdrew in the past month. And then Davenport also uploads to OCLC and Silo files of new records added by all the RiverShare libraries. And this is for interlibrary loan purposes, so that other libraries can see the materials that we have and request those materials from our library. We have 2 part-time technical services clerks. One works 20 hours a week and one works 24 hours a week. They process all the physical materials that are added to the library collection. They do mending of books. They clean and check DVDs, Blu-rays, books on CD, and video games. They do the physical discarding of library materials when they're withdrawn from the collection, and then they contact the friends to go through those materials to see what they want to sell in the bookstores. And then after the friends have taken what they want, they box the items up to send to Better World Books, and so some of that money comes back to the friends. They also run routine reports in Polaris, and then they have the majority of the switchboard time. So the acquisitions and the technical services clerks have 1 day a week that they are responsible for the mail. So on that day, they check in and process the newspapers that are delivered in the morning, and then they put them out for the patrons. And then they check in and process the newspapers and magazines that are delivered in the afternoon by the Postal Service. And then last but not least is the library clerk. She works 24 hours a week. She does the pick list at Main Monday through Friday. She shelves all materials that have been returned. She does the monthly magazine pull, which is pulling the oldest issue of our magazine titles, and then she physically deprocesses them. She shifts materials, which she's done a lot of in the last few months because of the remodeling project. She shelf reads, and she also helps out with special projects. Everyone in the department except the library clerk has at least one switchboard shift in the week, including myself. And then everyone in the department also puts together and programs tags. So I brought these. So these are the RFID tags that we put in materials, and then this is the barcode, and you have to program the tag to match the barcode so that when they go through the sorter knows where it belongs. It has the information like what branch it goes to, and also we put those together. And then when we catalog an item, we scan the barcode in the computer, and then we put it with the item, and then it goes through the process, and then it gets put on the book at the end. So then one project that I wanted to talk a little bit about is the technical services clerks and the library clerk worked on this year. They were on a team with a customer services staff member that I led to determine how best to change the way that we process our materials so that there's no labels on the front of them. I brought a couple of examples. This is the old way that has some stickers on the front, and then this is the new way that doesn't have any stickers on the front. The barcode is on the inside of the new way.
Yes.
And this was initiated by patron complaints that we were covering up information that was on the cover of the materials or blocking out, the author's name or the title or whatever. And then I also brought a board game that we've done with the new way that doesn't have any labels on the outside. It's on the inside, and then all of the pieces have like the barcode written on them. And so if you don't get that, you can pass it.
It says can read the barcode when it's not on cover.
What?
The sorter can read the barcode when it's not.
It's on the RF because it's programmed to the RFID tag. Yeah, it reads the RFID tag when it goes through the sorter.
Which is what we would actually prefer.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't set off an audible alarm at the gate when the patron is exiting.
Ah, bing, 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 bing.
So then I just also added some statistics for our department at the bottom. So the items that were added to the collection last year, fiscal year 24, was 20,197 items. And then so far, this year is 8,755. Items that we withdrew from the collection last year, 19,729. And then so far this year, 4,956. The newspapers and magazines that were checked in last year was 6,653, and this year so far 2,685. And then books that were repaired and put back in the collection last year was a little over 1,100, and so far this year is almost 200. Do you have any questions?
I do, and everyone probably knows this already, so I'll just do a quick. Is Cool Arts your database materials database?
It's the company that, like, it's the software that we
Okay,
use.
so,
for the
okay, and then
online catalog.
Munis is.
Munis is the city system where we pay bills.
Municipality.
Yeah.
They're probably dumb questions, but at
No,
least
they're
then I'll know what you're saying.
Okay.
What does OCLC stand for?
Online computer library center.
Library,
Yeah,
Based in Ohio in
Yeah.
1968.
I have it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Got it, and ILS, is that international?
Integrated library system. Yeah, that's
Thank
the all-in-one
Yeah.
software that we utilize that manages our patron accounts as
Thank
well as
you.
all the bibliographic database and records and stuff. All good questions.
Yeah.
I have some too, Shelley.
I want to thank you, Meredith, and everybody in technical services. I work in technical services. I do what she was saying. I miss not being a part of the consortium because whatever you were saying, I was getting back memories of how we work together. So thank you, because technical services is the heart of the library. If we don't work well, things don't happen. That's what I say in my life. So thank you. That is one. Two, I must share this. When I came here in Iowa and started working, it is Meredith's test that we had to go through to make use of or work in the databases that she talked about. So I have a certificate with her signature in my office. You know, so thank you, Meredith. You have been a guide to even people like me who have come into this, you know, so thank you. And there's a lot of work that's done, and we have to be, all of you have to be meticulous and proper to what we do. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing it with us.
These are things that I probably knew at one time, but don't remember anymore. So you mentioned the Mobius implementation. And what is that?
So that is a consortium that we are a part of with Missouri, Colorado libraries. They've changed their software recently, and so we're trying to get set up to continue to be part of that consortium. It's being able to borrow materials from those libraries. In the old iteration of the software, you could just, you know, do your search in our pack, and then if we didn't have it, there was a button you could click on Mobius, and it would just transfer your search over to that, and you could put a hold on it, and it would come from Missouri or wherever, and you could get the material that way.
Thank you.
And the status of that now is?
A work in progress.
We miss it.
Oh yes, I miss
Yeah.
it too. We are doing some testing right now with a couple other libraries, but yeah, there's a lot of movement on that right at the moment. So
You mentioned that you were a delegate for an ILS search. What are you searching for?
so our contract with Polaris is up in a couple years, and so the due diligence of the Rivershare board is to go out and look for other ILS software to see if there's anything better out there.
You mentioned a staff member who's a notary public. Does the library provide notary services to the public?
Yep, free of charge. Yep, and several, all the full-time public staff, so the customer service staff and the reference staff, the full-timers, they're all notaries. My employee has been a notary since before I started working here for like almost 30 years, so he continually renews his notarial, whatever it is. I don't know the terminology.
License, maybe. I
I like notarial.
The
I like Napoleon's.
That's the list of holds, of materials that have holds
Okay.
on them.
Okay.
So she goes and pulls those off the shelf, and then they get processed by the customer service department to be put on the hold shelf for you guys to pick up.
And one more dumb question, which I really should know the answer to. And
These are all
that
really good
is,
questions.
Is there a Friends bookstore at Maine? I know there's one at West or at.
It's more of a book
Fairmont.
cart.
Book cart here, okay, all right.
There used to be one at Maine, or a bigger one at Maine.
Oh, I've got
Thank
just a
you.
little maybe broader question. You mentioned 4 or 5 part-time employees. Are they part-time by choice or by budget, or that's how, so you can cover all the timing needed? I'm just wondering.
So some of it is by recommendation by myself, when people, left that I, didn't feel like we needed that time in this department, that it could be better used in other departments in the library. Some of them were part-time when I started. I've been here for 14 years, so.
Kind of more curious in the sense of, are any of those employees like wanting to combine 2 of those part-times into one full-time? And I don't mean to get into management weeds here, I'm just more.
Some of them probably would like to be full-time employees, but the budget constraints of that just don't make that possible.
So just to speak on that, it's not as easy as just
Yeah.
putting 2 part-time positions together, because then there's benefit. There's a benefit
Yeah,
package.
that was
doesn't
kind of my
exist.
next question.
So, yeah, so
I know.
I wish it was that easy.
The actual cost of a full-time employee is
Correct.
2 part-time.
And some of the the processing changes that we made were because of the staffing changes within the department. We used to have 3 part-time processors, and we went down to 2. So some of these changes make it quicker to process the materials. We're using less, stickers and things, so that helps things get moved through the department.
I'm just wondering, you're not losing your part-time employees just because there's no opportunity for them to become full-time per se.
No.
Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering.
Copy cataloging? What is that?
So that's when there's already a record like in the catalog, and then we just add our item to
Okay, I remember you saying.
it.
These are all really good questions, and it's a testament to the complicated work that technical services does for the organization on the back end, because we're dealing with a lot of things, a lot of acronyms and a lot of library jargon, and they do everything from the acquisitions to the processing, to the cataloging, to the deaccessioning or reading, to then even the mending and repairs. So it's a real holistic approach that they take, and they do a lot of really great work. And Meredith does a fantastic job leading that team. And a couple other things to point out, as Melodika had mentioned, which really instrumental is Meredith's role on the Rivershire Libraries Consortium, because as Davenport Public Library is the largest of the 9 member libraries, we also have the most to help the other smaller libraries, and her expertise really translates well across the board. So we're really thankful for that. And then also the projects and initiatives that Meredith has taken on this last year, like the simplified processing. Another one that wasn't mentioned, I don't believe, was evaluation when we had our primary vendor that we purchased materials from. They had an outage last year that impacted our ability to purchase materials in a timely fashion for patrons. So after that, she did research, spearheaded a team, and was able to come up with an alternative so that we now have 2 vendors that we're using primarily. And she did a really good job leading that team and coming up with options for the library so that we don't have those kind of service disruptions in the future.
One last quick one. Does the Library of Things create any unique challenges to the catalog?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Okay. We'll be interested in hearing how that's.
We'll work together to simplify it as much as we can.
Well, I mean, so we cataloged all of the techno items that we already have, and we cataloged the board games and the puzzles that we have already. So there are, we can, in the Rivershire rules, there are some we can make our own smaller record. It doesn't have to be added to the international database if it's only our, we're the only ones that own it and that kind of thing. So there are some exceptions to those rules that we can use.
All right. Thank you for a very informative presentation. So we're down to one of the last items on the agenda. I have a written request from the library director for a closed session for his performance review. So we need a motion for a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5, para 1, para I, to evaluate performance of the library director. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Shelley?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Malvika?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
And myself, and that's yes. Okay. So
This conference will now be recorded.
okay, so we are back in session after having a closed session to evaluate the library director. Do we have a motion to approve the evaluation of the library director?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Michael?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Malvika?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
And my own vote is yes. That passes. Okay, so that, I think, is the end of our business. Do we have motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes. There's a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. We're